So friends, so we can see short movie on what if Naruto and Serafall went cafe in DxD World movie. Does it really have to rain now? This was certainly not the best day for one Serafall Leviathan. After finishing an especially long day as one of the head foreign affairs, she just wanted to find a place to eat and relax a bit. Odin can really be a son of a bitch when he's ready, and then on top of this it starts to rain. Just fantastic. While muttering curses under her breath, a bright orange sign caught her eye. Cafe from the leaves? Might as well give it a try? Quickly changing her direction, she headed to the cafe, if not to at least get away from the rain. Upon opening the door, a small chime can be heard from a bell above the door signifying when someone enters or exits. Looking around, Serafall could definitely say that this cafe had a cozy and comforting feeling. The temperature feels just right, while the furniture itself was void of the normally seen hardwood seats, but in its place were cushioned chairs and couches. At the front table, there were many display cases that seemed to be empty, but she knew that during the morning they would be filled with delicacies. What brings such a beautiful girl here at this time? Serafall turned her head to the source of the sound, and her eyes landed on a tall, handsome man with deep crystal blue eyes and long blonde hair tied up in a bun. It seemed he was wearing a white shirt with a black apron over it and a pair of black jeans with black sneakers. Instinctively, Serafall raised her hand to catch a towel thrown by the smirking blonde. Muttering a quick thank you, Serafall walked to a high chair in front of a table where the display cases were located and began drying her hair. Looking up at the blonde man, she asked, "Have I come at a bad time? It seems as though you were closing up." The blonde man just shrugged. "It's no problem. I know the rain must have been bad and you look like you need something to eat." It was at this moment Serafall's stomach decided to make its presence known, causing her to blush in embarrassment. The man just laughed warmly. "Even though I was closing, I do have a few sweets left if you want. Sadly, I only have water if you want anything to drink right now." Serafall smiled brightly at him. "Don't worry, I'll take what I can get. It's my fault for coming so late anyways." "Alright, I have chocolate, sponge, and cheesecake left over and some tiramisu." Serafall thought for a little bit but decided on some chocolate cake. "One slice of chocolate for the beautiful lady coming right up," said the blonde man as he went into the back, causing Serafall to let out a soft giggle. "This place isn't bad at all. It feels like I'm de-stressing just by being here, and the owner, I'm guessing, seems pretty nice as well." Then a delectable smell filled the air, causing anticipation to well up in Serafall, and out came the owner with a slice of chocolate cake on a plate and set it in front of her. "Here it is. I hope that you enjoy it," said the man. "If it tastes anything like it smells, I'm sure it would be wonderful," replied Serafall in kind. She quickly then picked up the fork provided, took a piece of the cake, and put it in her mouth. After chewing twice, she moaned in delight. The richness of this chocolate cake is heavenly, but it has a sweet and fruity undertone to it which makes it nice and balanced. She quickly finished it as the owner looked in amusement, seeing her cheeks stuffed with cake. "I take it you enjoyed the cake," he said in a voice filled with mirth. Serafall quickly snapped out of her chocolate-induced euphoria and replied enthusiastically, "That was undoubtedly the best chocolate cake I had in my life. Can I have some more?" The man chuckled and playfully responded, "Sure, but what's the magic word?" Serafall puffed out her cheeks and replied, "Pleasy." The man then turned to go back and get the cake, but while his back was turned she stuck out her tongue teasingly. He then returned and placed the plate in front of Serafall, but just as she was about to dig in, the man pulled the plate away. Serafall looked pleadingly at the man. Don't think I didn't see what you did when I left. Now, what do you have to say for yourself?" Serafall stared at the man, but when she saw he wasn't budging she finally relented. Fine, sorry." "Good girl." The man responded while moving the cake back. Serafall started to happily devour the cake with a look of pure bliss on her face. Afterwards the man took up the plate and carried it to the back, leaving Serafall to her thoughts. "This is definitely a place I'll come back to in the future. It has so many sweets I haven't tried yet, and there might possibly be ones even better than the cake." She inadvertently let out a small squeal as she was thinking about it. "It's good to see you're feeling better. When you came in you looked troubled," said the man, reappearing from the back. Serafall smiled brightly. "I sure am. Thank you for helping me even when you were about to close." The man just smiled. "That was one of the main reasons I opened this shop, for people to have an escape for even just a little bit, maybe even someone to talk to, so your thanks just prove that the shop is doing what it's intended to do." Serafall couldn't help but feel her respect for the blonde man go up. "It's pretty late and I don't want to take up any more of your time, so I'll take my leave, though I'm sure I'll be dropping in again," she said as she walked to the door. "I'd love to serve you anytime you come," the man replied in kind. Just as she was about to leave she remembered something. "Before I forget, my name is Serafall. What's yours?" "Serafall, huh? A fitting name for a beauty like you. As for me, my name is Naruto. The newly named Naruto responded. Naruto, that's a nice name. Anyways, I must be off, and once again thanks for the hospitality, said Serafall as she left. One of Seer's ex-buddies definitely. She's a devil, no doubt about it, and very powerful as well. I also think he mentioned her before. Looks like coming here really is going to be interesting after all, thought Naruto as he closed up the shop. Speaking of interesting, he sensed a moderately powerful fallen angel signature near his location, so he decided to check it out. Disappearing in a yellow flash, he arrived on a building overlooking a park where a boy was currently impaled by a spear made out of light and a fallen angel just looking at him. Well, that's tough luck for that boy, though fallen angels don't go on random killings, thought Naruto, so he focused on the fallen boy. Draconian power. This feels like the boosted gear. Damn, that one unlucky kid. Although he felt sorry for the kid, Naruto didn't feel the need to intervene because it looked like someone already had it covered. As the fallen angel left, a bright light encompassed the area and a beautiful buxom red-haired girl appeared. That shade of red looks very familiar, almost the same as Seer's ex does, thought Naruto as he paid attention to the scene playing out before him. He saw the buxom beauty place a number of different chess pieces on the dead boy, looking more and more frustrated each time until she finally placed 8 pawns which sunk into the boy. Satisfied, the red-haired girl picked up the boy and a seal appeared underneath them, transporting them away. Naruto could only applaud. That looked almost staged. That poor bastard doesn't even know he got played. And if I'm right, she is definitely related to Seer's ex. Flashing back to the cafe, Naruto could only think, things really are becoming interesting. Rias's new pawn is quite the troublesome person. Rubbing her forehead, Sona Shidori sighed in exasperation. You see, Sona Shidori isn't any regular old student. Other than just being the student council president, she is also the heiress to the Citri family in the underworld. The Citri family is one of the strongest families in the underworld to boot. Don't worry, President, I'm sure Rias will reign him, and eventually, though you know she has her reasons, comforted Tsubaki Shinra. I know, but it doesn't make doing work any more bearable, especially with the number of reports against him. At this point, Sona just prayed for as much of a normal and peaceful day as she could have, though she forgot that you probably shouldn't pray when being a devil. Almost immediately, a teleportation crest formed in front of the student council duo, startling both. Being quick-witted as she is, Sona noticed something that caused confusion, which almost immediately turned into dread. Wait, isn't that the Citri crest? Knowing that her parents never visit during school days, much less unannounced, she knew it had only one possible option left, though she prayed that she was wrong. Oh Sona, Sona. That's strike 2. Sona Tan. With a high-pitched scream, a flurry of pink barreled out of the crest, crashing into Sona. Tsubaki could only watch in amusement when she realized just who crashed into her king. Sat on top a displeased and annoyed Sona was none other than a grinning Serafall Leviathan, her older sister. So Tan, aren't you happy to see your older sister? Asked a hopeful Serafall. What are you doing here, sister? Asked a straight-faced Sona, not giving her sister the satisfaction of riling her up. Moo, you could be happy to see me, you know, pouted Serafall. Sona sighed. Can you get to the point of your visit already? I'm in the middle of doing work. Suddenly Serafall dropped to the floor and started to roll. Wah, Sona doesn't like me, oh the horror. Exasperated, Sona could only stare at her, then pleadingly look to her queen for help. But Tsubaki just shrugged, meaning it was all on her. Sighing, which is something that she's been doing a lot today, Sona stopped her older sister from throwing a tantrum. Alright, I wanted to see you. Now can you get to the point? And with that Serafall sprang up from the floor, eyes shining with a bright smile, leaving no indicator that she had been sad, and said, Yay. Now today I've gotten my first day off in forever and I wanted to bring you somewhere to spend it. Sona deadpanned, it's the middle of school. I can't. Plus, I have a lot of duties to attend to as the student council president. Serafall didn't look less determined in the slightest. That doesn't matter, you have the rest of your peerage to help out, isn't that right, Tsubaki? Tsubaki replied with an evil glint in her eye, that's right, Leviathan-sama, the rest of the peerage will be happy to fill in while you and the president have fun. Sona looked at her queen with betrayal in her eyes while Serafall jumped onto Sona. Thanks, Tsubaki-chan, me and So-tan are off. And with that, the two sisters disappeared in a flash of light, leaving a smirking Tsubaki in the office to go about her day, knowing when Sona gets back, she'll be in for it. Appearing in a discreet alley connecting to one of the main streets, Sona couldn't help but resign herself to her fate and ask, so, where are we going? Well, it's a little cafe I discovered a week or two ago and I think you'll love it a lot, said Serafall dreamily. Sona was surprised. She had only seen her sister act like that when she loved something, so therefore the place should be pretty good. Walking for a bit, Sona was greeted by a very bright neon orange sight that still somehow managed to outshine the sun. A cafe from the leaves? Interesting name. Hopefully, it'll live up to expectations though. Sona. Following her older sister through the door, the first thing she felt was a warm and comforting feeling. It was like she could instantly relax and forget about her troubles. Still dazed, Serafall had to shake her out of it, causing a light blush to appear on Sona's cheek. Though something caught both women's eyes. The display cases were filled with tasty-looking sweets and elaborately decorated pastries. So entranced by it, both women didn't notice the arrival of a certain blonde-haired man. Ahem. Naruto cleared his throat to get their attention. I'm flattered that you're staring at them, but wouldn't you rather be eating them? He asked with a fox-like grin. Serafall. Well-being Serafall quickly recovered with no shame and started enthusiastically talking to Naruto. These all look so delicious. I can't wait to try them. Sona on the other hand was embarrassed at being caught and just stayed silent. Naruto chuckled at Serafall's refreshing enthusiasm and bent his arm behind the counter and retrieved 2 menus. Please take these menus and help yourselves to any open seats. I'll be there in a minute to accommodate you all. And with that, Naruto left to attend to some other customers while Serafall and Sona found some seats. So Tan, I can tell you for sure that the chocolate cake here is to die for, and if I'm right, all the other sweets and pastries might be as well. Now Sona was definitely intrigued. Her sister's infamous sweet tooth wasn't so easily impressed. Due to being a devil, they had extremely long lifespans, allowing her sister to be a connoisseur of sweets for over a decade. So to impress her was an achievement for sure. Well ladies, have you decided on anything yet? Asked Naruto as he appeared with a pencil and notepad. It has too many choices and I can't decide. What would you recommend? Inquired Serafall. Thinking for a little bit, Naruto responded with, well, right now I'd recommend our honey latte paired with a lemon square. Seeing nothing wrong with it, Serafall agreed, so Naruto turned towards Sona. And what would you be having? Sona was more of a simple individual, so she just ordered a slice of sponge cake, and with that Naruto left to prepare their orders. Sue, what do you think, Sona? Asked a curious Serafall. Sona on the other hand didn't even notice how Serafall referred to her, as she was just taking in the atmosphere of the place. The scent of freshly brewed coffee filling the place with hints of fruit and the warm atmosphere were intoxicating. The blonde-haired man named Naruto also seemed quite nice. It's a nice place, I'll admit, answered Sona, though Serafall had a knowing look on her face. A few minutes of idle chatter between them passed when Naruto brought their order. All right, a honey latte for Serafall and a sponge cake for Serafall Jr. With that, Serafall looked pointedly at Naruto. Sona, my name is Sona, not Serafall Jr. Meanwhile, Serafall had stars in her eyes. Naruto, that's a great name. Can I please call you that? So Tan, pretty please. Sona started heatedly at Serafall until she relented and looked back at Naruto. Sorry for my sister's outburst, though please refrain from calling me anything other than Sona in the future. Naruto just whistled. Okay. So Tan. Sona's eyebrows started to twitch uncontrollably and Naruto let out a small chuckle. I'm sorry, I'll refrain from it in the future, and don't worry about your sister. Her personality is quite welcome in these bleak days. Serafall had a grateful look in her eye as Naruto walked away to attend to other customers. Well, without further ado, let's eat, proposed Serafall as she was quite excited. After about an hour and some reordering, both Serafall and Sona were stuffed to the brim. I see you all had your fill of desserts, said Naruto as he finished up with the other customers. Yes, we did, and I can certainly say it was quite an experience. I think I might have just found my favorite shop, replied Serafall while Sona just nodded. Well, I certainly am glad to hear that. I'd hate to lose out on you if you stopped coming, cheekily replied Naruto. As he was walking towards another table to clean it, he suddenly stopped and said, Excuse me for a moment ladies, I have to go in the back for just a moment. Quickly disappearing behind the door, he left the sisters to their own devices. Well Sona, how was the trip? Asked Serafall enthusiastically. Well, it was fine. I can't say I disliked it, replied Sons, not wanting to admit it was a great trip as she had to shrug off her duties, though Serafall knew better. Just as she was about to reply though, her head instantly snapped to the left, her gaze reaching outside the window. A fallen angel? But just as quickly as she sensed it, it disappeared. Maybe it really is nothing, she thought. And with that Naruto reappeared from inside the back. Well ladies, it is about closing time, so if you'll excuse me. Though if you do want anything I can give it to you to go, he said with an apologizing tone. Serafall quickly waved her hands. Don't worry, we're fine. We'll take our leave now, though I'll make sure to stop by whenever I can. Naruto shot her a grateful look. I'll be happy to have either of you here anytime, so please do drop by. There'll never be a shortage of sweets to try. With that, Sona and Serafall both exited and left Naruto alone in the shop. Watching them leave and making sure they were a good bit away, Naruto sighed and began closing up the shop. Afterwards he went into the back and opened up a door which led to a basement. Going downstairs, one could see a person tied up to a pole in the middle of the room. He was a middle-aged looking man with short black hair and dark blue eyes. His aged face was battered and bruised, while his attire consisting of a pale gray trench coat over a white dress shirt with a matching ascot, black pants and shoes, a pair of black gloves, and a black fedora was covered in bloodstains and torn up. Naruto kicked him in the stomach, causing the man to cough up blood and writhe in pain. "Tell me your name," demanded Naruto. The man weakly offered up, "Donasek." "Okay, Donasek, why are you, a fallen angel, spying on two devils in the middle of the non-aggression pact?" This time Donasek did not respond, leading to Naruto developing a bloodthirsty smile. "Don't want to talk, huh? Well, I've got news for you, buddy. I love it when people don't talk." And with that, lightning started to coat the right hand of Naruto. The sound of thousands of birds filled the room and the lightning crackled. Donasek, seeing this, started to get frightened. Okay, I'll talk." But Naruto ignored his desperate pleas, but Donasek didn't stop trying. "I am sorry, please." The horrifying, blood-curdling screams continued to emanate from that room for the remainder of the night. Thankfully Naruto had put a silencing seal on the room to block noise from escaping. Coming out of the room, Naruto had a towel, wiping off the blood from his hands and face, leaving no evidence other than the smell of burnt flesh and blood in the room, though all he could think is, "This is getting a little too interesting now. Naruto, I'll always love you." A disembodied voice echoed around Naruto as he caught himself in a familiar scene. A pale white hand reaching out desperately yet so comfortingly, dyed in spirals of crimson red. No matter how many times Naruto was here, he could do nothing more than rewatch and relive. "Please, I've had enough," desperately wailed Naruto as he tried to escape. Not again, please not again." He could only miserably watch this horrific scene before him. One which he has experienced time and time again, one burned into the very depths of his mind. Shinning, that's when metal met flesh, red met blue, when Naruto lost everything. Ah! Naruto awoke with a start, the room around him destroyed beyond recognition, but this wasn't the first time it happened, so the structure itself wasn't damaged. Cold sweats pouring down his face, he looked at the cracked clock trying to read the time. 4:30 a.m. Didn't even get a bloody hour of sleep. I guess karma is a thing after all. Unbeknownst to him, a certain female dragon king sneezed at the mention. Oh well, an early start to the morning isn't the worst of fates. Having nothing better to do, he summons around a dozen shadow clones to start preparation for opening the store, and he started putting on clothes to go out for a run. Maybe a run might help things. But who was he kidding? He was a poor old cursed bastard anyways, but he didn't decide to acknowledge it this time. Leaving the shop, the crisp cool breeze of the night instantly hit his face and he felt refreshed already. Maybe I might actually make this a regular thing, he thought to himself as he started running. This was also the best time for him to think about what he had learned from the fallen angel. Apparently not all fallen angels wanted peace. This was true for one such Kokabeel. According to the information gained by Naruto, it seemed as though he wanted to start a second Great War. Donasek wasn't anything more than a grunt, so he didn't have any more information to give, so Naruto couldn't ascertain on how he was going to go about causing it. I doubt that Azazel wants a war. He's too invested into those sacred gears to give a damn, so it wouldn't make sense for him to send out a hit on a possessor, much less on one who didn't even awake it. I wonder how Searsex is going to respond to this. Well, that's if he even knows what's going on. Then there is Michael. Well, doubt he'd care unless a war actually broke out. Now what to do? Do I tell them or not? As Naruto was pretending like he gave a damn about informing them, he noticed a black cat at the side of the road. It's unconscious and pretty beat up. Oh well, you know what they say. A black cat is bad luck after all, so I should leave it right? Opening the door to the cafe, bundled in his arms was the same black cat from the road. I swear if I find out which god made me this stupid, I am going to show a Rasengan so far up their ass. He then laid the cat down on the floor and started to use a healing jutsu on it. After confirming it was healed, he went to the back and brought out a bowl of milk and set it in front of the unconscious cat. All Naruto could think right now though is, I really hope today will be peaceful. Akeno, what should I do? Asked a familiar buxom red-haired beauty. Don't worry, Rias, everyone in the peerage is working hard, even Issei, replied a beautiful young woman with a voluptuous figure, very long black hair and violet eyes. The redhead was none other than Rias Gremory, sister to the Satan Lucifer and heiress to the Gremory family, who like the Cetri family is one of the most powerful families in the underworld. The black-haired woman she is speaking to is her queen and close friend from childhood, Akeno Hamejima. I know Akeno, but I can't help but think, what if it's just not enough? Everything I would have been working towards would just be in vain. Akeno couldn't help but pity her king. The circumstances forced on her simply were too cruel indeed, but all she could do was be strong enough to support her both as a friend and a queen. Suddenly though, an idea popped into Akeno's head. Rias, since everyone is out doing their things and there isn't going to be a club meeting, I've heard of a place from Sona and I think it'd be beneficial to go there. Now this piqued Rias' interest. Sure, I see no harm, but what is the place? Ah, now that would be telling. All you have to do is trust me, replied Akeno mischievously. Sighing, Rias agreed. Since Sona is the source of information, certainly it wouldn't be bad. One teleport and a few minutes later, Rias and Akeno were standing below a familiar bold orange sign titled Cafe from the Leaves? Questioned Rias, is this the place? It is indeed, Rias. Sona said the sweets here are very good and the atmosphere is the best, so I thought it would be best if we came here to de-stress a bit, explained Akeno. Thinking it over, Rias couldn't help but agree that it might be a nice change of pace. Following Akeno into the quaint little cafe, the first thing they both felt was an ethereal sense of comfort, almost as if it was their mother's embrace. The scent of sweet confectionery and food filled the air, carrying with it an undertone of coffee. Welcome to Cafe from the Leaves, what would you like? Snapping out of their reverie, they notice a tall, handsome blonde man with a warm smile in front of them. Due to her training as an heiress, Rias was the first to respond. This is our first time here, so do you have a menu or anything? Naruto paused for a second, then chuckled to himself. I'm sorry about that, please go find a seat and I'll bring them to you. With that, Naruto went over to get the menus while Rias and Akeno took a seat in a corner of the cafe by the window. The atmosphere here really is one of a kind, admitted Akeno, and Rias couldn't help but agree. If the sweets here are really like how Sona described, then I will really be impressed, said Rias. So you found out about here from Serafall Jr., huh? Well, I can guarantee that everything here is just as she described it, interjected the blonde man as he held out two menus for them. Rias and Akeno just stared at the man dumbfoundedly as they took the menus. You know Serafall? Asked Rias. Yay, she came here about a week or more ago and kept coming back. She brought her sister just recently and I could honestly say that she is one of the netter customers I have. Her personality is quite refreshing. Oh, by the way, the name's Naruto. Leviathan Sama's personality isn't something you'd call refreshing, both Akeno and Rias thought. My name is Rias and her name is Akeno, responded Rias courteously. Both are very nice names, so what can I get you beautiful ladies? Asked Naruto. Oofufufu, you're not too bad yourself, handsome, maybe I can have you? Flirted Akeno. I'm flattered, though sadly I'm not on the menu as yet, chuckled Naruto. Well, make sure and tell me when you are, because I'm sure I'd love to get a piece of that. With that said, Rias felt she had to interject before her friend did anything bad. I'll take a cup of green tea and 2 sticks of dango. Not many knew, but Rias had a fascination for Japanese culture. She would often collect anime and manga and look for delicacies from there, so Rias couldn't control herself when she saw dango there. With that taken down, Naruto turned to Akeno, who responded, I'll just have a cup of green tea. Finishing writing down the order, Naruto turned to head to the back with a, alright, it'll be there in a moment. Walking to the back, Naruto could help but think, red hair? Check. Blue-green eyes? Check. She's definitely related to Serzek's, most likely a younger sister. Thinking about it, if I'm correct, then Serafall is a very high-ranking member in the underworld based on her power. Maybe even a Satan, so her house should be high-ranking, making Sona a heiress most likely. So 2 heiresses and a fallen angel planning a great war. It seems very possible now. If there was to be an international incident where 2 heiresses of the underworld are, then the other 2 factions would have reason to fight. Since it's a fallen angel planning it in the territory of devils, then the catalyst should be from the last faction, the church, and it can't be a stray exorcist or someone like that. It has to be someone notable. This is really troublesome. Guess I'll send a letter to Serzek after all. By the time his inner monologue was done, he was already bringing the girls' order to their table. 2 cups of green tea and 2 sticks of dango. Please feel free to call if you need anything else. Akeno and Rias thanked him as he left. Well, Rias, I do say this looks lovely, said Akeno, impressed. I must agree, Akeno. The dango looks absolutely delicious, though I'm rather in the mood for the green tea first. And with that, Rias brought the cup to her mouth and took a sip. A light, refreshing feeling filled her as she savored the tea. It was quite smooth and had a grassy undernote which served to complement it. Well, I think this tea gives yours a run for its money, Akeno, said Rias in surprise. After tasting it, Akeno couldn't help but agree with Rias's statement. It definitely does not come second, it's rather quite delicious. Getting excited, Rias quickly picked up the dango and ate one. A warm, sticky but sweet sensation filled her mouth and she couldn't help but let out a small moan of delight. The chewiness of the dango gave a satisfying feeling to it, but it was also very soft and tender. This place is an absolute delight, proclaimed Rias. It was definitely worth coming here. I'm glad you think so. With that, Rias and Akeno turned to see Naruto looking at them amused, and he continued. I saw you two looking a bit down when you came in, especially the redhead, so knowing that you cheered up makes me satisfied, though I've seen that look before. As someone who was dealt a bad hand by fate, I could recognize another who is the same. I don't know your specific circumstances, but just know, only by your own power can you control your life. And with that, Naruto left to serve other customers. Stuck there in silence, Rias just pondered his words. He's right. No matter how many peerage members I have, it doesn't matter unless I have the power to control my life. I can't depend on them for that, I can only depend on myself. With a newfound determination, Rias and Akeno left the cafe to start gaining the power they need. I'll definitely visit this cafe again and thank Naruto, thought Rias as she and Akeno teleported to the Occult Research Club to hold a meeting. Naruto watched them leave with a smile on his face. If you're wondering, Naruto did that only because he understood how bad it was to be a victim of circumstance. Plus, her hair reminded him of his mother, so Naruto wasn't going to let her go without at least giving her some advice. Thinking that was his good deed done for the day, he started to close up shop. It seems as though these devils always stay the longest, thought Naruto as he summoned some shadow clone to tidy up the place. Now on to more serious matters. Naruto went upstairs and grabbed a piece of paper and a pen and started to scribble some things onto the paper. There, that should do it, he thought as he folded the paper and put it into an envelope. He then summoned a crow and gave it the letter, which it then disappeared with it. Naruto wrote a letter to Sirzex telling him to pay close attention for any high-ranking or notable members of the church in this territory or bad things may happen. Naruto could only hope things would get sorted out because he quite liked running the cafe, and if it had a great war, he definitely couldn't do it for a while. Standing up and stretching, Naruto decided to see what was going on with the other resident of his house. Making his way to the living room, he saw the BLSCK cat drinking the milk, which was almost done. Ah, perfect timing, thought Naruto. He walked to the front of the cat and saw its striking yellow eyes look up at him for a second, then back down to the milk. Well, call me crazy, but, well, no, don't call me crazy actually. This seemed to get the cat's attention as it tilted its head at Naruto almost as if it was confused, but Naruto continued unbothered. Why was the SS class stray devil Kuroka beaten unconscious and left in the middle of the road? The cat's piercing yellow eyes widened in fright and slowly started stepping back as though it had seen the devil itself. It turned around and was about to break into a sprint when... Stop. The single word that was uttered by Naruto stopped the cat in its tracks. The word carried with it an unimaginable amount of power, with it making the cat stop breathing in fear of angering this deity of wrath behind it. Turn around. The cat turned around mechanically, almost as though it was made of metal. The cat could see the bloodman leaning against a table, hands in his pockets with a carefree expression, but behind him was an orange misma that had one eye which was red and had a black slit for a pupil. The bloodlust and sheer killing intent he was emitting made the cat feel like it was before the god of chaos and carnage. The phantasm wore a fox-like grin, promising untold amounts of pain. As though he was ignoring the cat's obvious plight, he smiled and spoke. See, now was that so hard to do? Oh, and by the way, it would be nice if you could transform into your human weight, no devil form, I guess? A bright light quickly enveloped the cat and out came a beautiful young woman with a voluptuous figure, long black hair with split bangs, and hazel gold eyes with cat-like pupils. She was clad in a black kimono, a yellow obi, a set of golden beads, and an ornately detailed headband. She also has a pair of black cat ears and 2 black tails. Seeing this, Naruto couldn't help but comment, I thought you'd have purple hair and dark skin for sure. What? As scared as Kuroka was, she couldn't help but be confused at the statement. Don't worry about that, just a poor joke on my part. Anyways, I have asked you a question and I hope you answer. Kuroka knew there wasn't any way to get out of this one, but if it came down to it, she wasn't going down without a fight, so she steeled herself. I managed to escape from the lastest group of devils that tried to hunt me down. As you saw, I managed to defeat them, but at a cost. I collapsed as I was trying to find a place to heal myself, and well, now I'm here, recounted Kuroka. Naruto silently regarded her as Kuroka's eyes found anywhere appealing to look at other than him. After what felt like an eternity of silence, Naruto spoke, why? That one word caused confusion in Kuroka's head. Why what? Naruto looked at her with an expression of disbelief as if she had said something extremely dumb. Why are you a stray devil? Kuroka's eyes became glassy as if she was transported to another plane of consciousness. If you knew who I was, you most certainly know why I am treated this way. I do know what the rest of people know, but I want to hear it from you, leveled Naruto. Kuroka's eyes widened. This was the first time anyone asked her for her side of the story. All other times it was just people trying to kill her, so she stopped trying to prove herself. Although she told herself she must be stronger, she was after all just a young girl forced by circumstances to lead a rough life. Maybe, just maybe this may be the break I can get, thought Kuroka hopefully. The truth is, I wasn't drunk on power, but my king wanted to experiment on my little sister. All of his experiments usually end up with the victim being dead or worse, and I couldn't bear to see that happen to my sister, so I killed him and took her away. Finished Kuroka. She started to look at Naruto, trying to see if he showed any signs of believing her or wanting to harm her. You don't have to worry, I believe you, answered Naruto simply. Kuroka could help but have surprise coloring her face at his statement. Do you really mean it? Asked Kuroka with a hopeful gleam in her eye. You see, I have a special ability to know when someone is lying, so I know you told the truth. As for your reasons, I can't help but to applaud you, as it reminds me of someone I respect a lot. Feeling sentimental, Naruto couldn't help himself. Would you like to hear a story? Kuroka, still thankful for him believing her, thought that there was no harm in humoring him. Sure. Well, grab some popcorn and let's begin. It all starts in a village very far away. There was this boy born to a very prestigious family. From young he was known as a prodigy, thinking like an adult at only 4 years old. From then on he flew through the ranks in the military, breaking records left, right and center. Then one day, he heard that his family was going to attempt a coup to take over the village, and he reported it to the higher-ups in the village. From that moment on he tried his best to dissuade his family from attempting the coup, but it was to no avail, as they were dead set to it. This left him and his best friend distraught, as they both did not wish to take part in the coup. His friend, though, had a solution to their problems. He possessed a very powerful technique which could hypnotize people seamlessly and flawlessly, making it so that they could stop the coup, but a village elder caught wind of this, killing the friend before he could carry out the technique. Faced with unwinnable odds, he was given two choices: either side with his family or kill them. At this point Kuroka gasped with the decision. How was he supposed to pick the village over his family? Most likely knowing what she was thinking, Naruto continued, the boy chose to murder his family only if they spared his younger brother. Kuroka couldn't help but to relate to the boy in the story. He was willing to kill his family to prevent his younger brother from getting killed. Maybe she wasn't as tough as that, but she could understand why he would, because of the bond between siblings. He wasn't going to allow his innocent younger brother to be caught up in the schemes of the older generation and killed because of it, so on that same night he massacred everyone from the family except his little brother and left the village. Not wanting him to turn on the village, the boy took all the blame on himself, making his brother despise him and want to get revenge. In the end, the little brother did get revenge by killing the older brother. In the end, though, he found out about everything and how the older brother allowed himself to be killed so he wouldn't have any more resentment left and would be able to clear the family's name for the new generation. The reason I respect him so much is because of the burden he took on from a young age, and he never once complained about it till the end, all for his little brother. Up until his last moments he only had love for his little brother, even as he was dying by his hand. There is a reason why I'm telling you this. It's because I don't wish to see something like that play out again. Take what you will from this story and figure out what you want to do about your own situation. A word of advice: the younger brother always regretted what happened, so make sure that doesn't happen with your sister. With that said, Naruto got up to leave, but not before saying, I'm feeling a bit generous. If you want, you can stay in a spare room. I can see that you are not fully fit. Think about it as a favor for listening to the story. Watching him leave, Kuroka could only sit in silence thinking about what she had been told. Of course she had wanted to see her sister again and explain what really happened, but with the bounty on her still out, she couldn't do anything to risk the life of her sister for her selfishness. Oh Sharon, what should I do? Thought Kuroka as he looked out into the darky, endless abyss of the night sky. Meanwhile in the underworld, a certain red-haired, Siscon Satan by the name Searsex Lucifer was lamenting the amount of paperwork that was currently in front of him. Why can't I just burn all this and go see Rias? Fia, can I go? Whack. Itai. That isn't appropriate behavior, Lucifer-sama, said a beautiful young woman appearing to be in her early 20s with back-length silver hair that features a long braid on each side with small blue bows at the ends, with red eyes. She was also dressed in maid attire. This was none other than Graphia Luikfuge, head maid of the Gremory house and the only person who keeps Searsex in order when he doesn't want to do work. That was mean. Crooked the mouth childishly. As Grafia was about to hit him again, a crow suddenly appeared in the office, causing both of them to become alert. Serafall, though, noticing the red four-pointed pinwheel in one of the crow's eyes, relaxed almost immediately, and a look of curiosity found its way onto his face. Seamlessly switching to a business mode, he told Grafia to stand down as he knew who the crow was from. The crow then landed and dropped an envelope from its mouth and disappeared again. "Do you know who it is from, Lucifer-sama?" asked a curious Grafia. "I do indeed know who it's from, but that's what concerns and intrigues me." Quickly he opened the envelope and retrieved a letter from inside, which he began to read. In mere moments the look of curiosity faded and was replaced with seriousness. "Grafia, notify the rest of the Satans for an emergency meeting right now. Tell them I don't care what they're doing. Hell, their wife could be in labor, but they have to reach here now." Hearing his uncharacteristically serious voice, Grafia didn't hesitate and went to inform the other Satans as fast as she could. Meanwhile, Serafall just rubbed his forehead in frustration. "This is the second time you'll help us avoid a devastating war, huh, Naruto?" Not a moment later, when 3 teleportation crests flashed in the office of Serafall. Out appeared a familiar black-haired girl, Serafall Leviathan. Next to come out was the underworld's resident mad scientist and the one responsible for the creation of the evil peace system, Ajuka Beelzebub. And lastly, the sloth of the Satans, Falbium Asmodeus, appeared. What caused the emergency meeting? Ajuka got straight to the point. He knew Serafall a long time and knows only a few things that could get him this antsy. Well, for one, Cage has sent a letter. This one sentence caused the whole room to go into disarray. Cage, as in the one from the First Great War, shouted, asked Serafall. "You are correct, this Cage is one in the same," answers Serafall confidently. Even Falbium, who was normally uninterested and lazy, was paying full attention to the conversation at the mention of that name. "Well, what did it say?" questioned Ajuka. Serafall sighed as the other members perked their ears to listen. He said to watch out for any influential or notable members of the church entering Devil territory, especially where Serafall's sister and my sister are. Now thinking about it, there are only a few reasons why he would send this. Since the non-aggression pact is in effect and he said to watch out for the church, it means that it's most likely an international incident waiting to happen. Whether instigated by a devil, exorcist or fallen angel, it would give sufficient reason for a call to arms and things could descend into a next war. Though he was childish, it had a reason as to why Serafall was chosen as the leader of the underworld. He wasn't just the most powerful, but he was extremely smart. Maybe not in the way of Ajuka in inventing things, but he definitely could read people and manipulate them well. Hearing the words of Serafall, the other 3 couldn't help but agree. "Serafall, relay specific instructions to Rias and Sona to be on the lookout for anything like this," ordered Serafall, and was met with a nod from Serafall. "What are you going to be doing?" asked Falbium in regards to Serafall. "Me? Well, I'm going to meet an old friend to see if he can help out. If there's no more questions, this meeting is dismissed." As everyone teleported out of the room, Serafall could only sigh and look out his window onto the underworld. "Well, Naruto, you got what you wanted. Now are you going to be a spectator or finally realize that people truly need you?" "I hope she makes the correct choice, as I'd hate to see another sibling bond fall apart over a misunderstanding," thought Naruto as he made a couple shadow clones to start preparing the food for the opening of the cafe. "Sunday tomorrow, huh? Wonder what I'll do to escape the mundane setting of this life." You see, Naruto closes the cafe on Sundays because not many people come and even he needs a break sometimes. Suddenly, Naruto's head snapped up, his gaze piercing through the wall in front of him as he sensed a familiar presence at the entrance of his cafe. I didn't expect him to come so quickly, but might as well entertain him. As he started to walk to the main room of the cafe, he heard the chiming of the bells signifying that the door was opened. "Can't you see the sign is marked as closed? I know you're pretty old, but I highly doubt you forgot how to read," said Naruto in jest as he was greeted by a familiar shock of red hair belonging to one Serafall Lucifer. "Well, if I'm supposed to be having memory problems at my age, then you must not even remember your own name," bantered Serafall. Both men looked at each other and chuckled. "So I guess my letter was enough to shake you up into visiting me personally, huh, Serafall?" started Naruto. "Well, I'd be lying if I said the letter didn't cause the reason for the visit, though I do have another matter to talk about first. Think of it as a bit of a breather before the more heavier stuff." Now this certainly piqued Naruto's curiosity as he waited for Serafall to continue. "The secondary purpose I had coming here was to invite you to the engagement party for my sister." This threw Naruto for a loop. "An engagement party? Why would you invite me to that?" replied a thoroughly confused Naruto. "Well, this isn't going to be your normal boring engagement part, as I have arranged suitable entertainment for it," replied Serafall mysteriously. "Wait a second," thought Naruto. "This sister of yours wouldn't happen to be named Rias, would she?" Serafall looked at Naruto surprised. She is indeed named Rias, do you know her? About her, yes. She stopped by the cafe yesterday and I noticed something about her. Her eyes said that she was shackled by something she couldn't control, and now hearing that she's engaged, I could only assume that it was forced. Sears X looks at the floor embarrassed. Yes, indeed it was forced, and as the Satan Lucifer I was never able to help her, but now I'll be able to rectify that, so I was giving you an invitation to see something quite interesting as payment for the information. Naruto regards him for a moment. Oh well, it's not like I have anything to lose if I go, and I might just be able to see something worth going. Alright, I'll drop by, though you have something else to discuss, don't you? Sears X paused and sighed, seriousness filling his face. Naruto, be straight with me. Do you have any intentions of interfering if a war breaks out? Naruto looked at Sears X for a bit and replied, you know what happened last time, so no, I don't plan on getting involved unless it reaches a certain point, though I'd prefer if there isn't one in the beginning. Why do you think I sent you that letter? Sears X fell silent and Naruto continued, what do you think about the contents of the letter? This time Sears X answered quickly, I think it's most likely some sort of international incident waiting to happen that would spark the reason for the war. I doubt that Michael would want that type of bloodshed, at least after what happened last time, and Azazel is too occupied with research to care frankly. That means it has to be subordinate to either of them and one in power. Considering if the angels were to think of something like that, they'd definitely fall, so it only leaves the fallen angels. Concluded Sears X. Naruto nodded as he was impressed that Sears X could have deduced that from only a few key points of information. You were indeed correct in your assumptions. Apparently there is a fallen angel that is planning to cause a two-great war by turning the angels against the devil. Though who the fallen angel is, I don't know. Sears X looked relieved. At least I can prepare to minimize damage with this. I'll have to talk with Michael and Azazel after the party. With that, Sears X felt it was a good time to bid farewell to Naruto. It seems as though I might have overstayed my welcome, as I have to help set up the party. Turning around, Sears X made his way to the door and opened it. When he was halfway through it, he stopped and suddenly said, thank you for saying those words to Rias, it certainly helped her progress. With that he fully left. With that said, Naruto couldn't help but chuckle and mutter under his breath, cheeky brat, as he went to prepare some things for opening the shop. Do I really need to go to this thing? Thought Naruto as he tugged at his blue three-piece suit. After a relatively uneventful day at the shop, Naruto decided to close a little bit early and attend the party to see if the entertainment, as Sears X so eloquently put it, was really as interesting as he thought. Entering the hall, he spotted a silver-haired maid approaching him. You must be Naruto-sama? Asked the maid. Naruto wrinkled his eyebrow. I am Naruto, but drop the sama, I like to keep things more casual. As you wish, Naruto-sama. Now if you would please follow me, as I was instructed to lead you to Lucifer-sama. Seeing Naruto nod, the maid started walking while Naruto followed closely behind. Reaching on a balcony overlooking the main hall, the maid stopped and gestured for Naruto to continue while she turned and walked away. Taking the hint, Naruto continued on his path and soon arrived by a pacing Sears X. What's got your panties in a twist this time? Called out Naruto. Hear his voice, Sears X's head instantly snapped up and sighed in relief. Right now I'm just hoping that my plan doesn't fail. I only get one shot at this, and if I screw up or the other party screws up, I'll only get my sister's resentment for the rest of my life, and I can't bear that, said Sears X dramatically as if he was going to cry. Oh, pull yourself together, you drama queen. If things don't work out fine, all you have to live with is the overwhelming feeling of shame and disappointment coupled with hate from your sister, so no worries, said Naruto sarcastically. Hearing this, it looked like Sears X was going to cry even more until the same gray-haired maid appeared for the second time. Lucifer-sama, Naruto-sama, the party is about to start. Gone was all signs of crying from Sears X as he gained back his authoritative aura. Thank you, Fia, and with that maid left once again. Sears X then turned to Naruto. I know you'd rather not be seen, so you can stay on the balcony. I know with your skills people would see right through you if you wanted. I on the other hand am the mix, so I'll be on my way. With that, Sears X turned and left Naruto on the balcony. A few boring speeches and boring activities later, it was finally time for the main event. Waiting on the podium already was on Riser Phoenix, looking as though he held the world in his hands. Coming out from the door and slowly walking towards him was a despondent Rias Gremory. Looking at her, Naruto couldn't help but feel a bit of pity for her in that situation. Her eyes looked lost and empty, as though she wasn't physically there. Naruto knew that look well, as though she had given up on everything and resigned herself to her fate, but he knew with a tiny push, that a person in that situation could either fall more, or rise up stronger. Time to see where you stand, Gremory, though Naruto, as he gazed at the entrance of the hall for a bit before expelling some chakra and manipulating it around Rias, causing her to enter a genjutsu where she could only hear a voice. As Rias was making her way to the podium, Suddenly everything around her froze. Panicking, Rias frantically looked around until a mysterious voice started talking. "My child, why do you look so down?" Strangely calm, almost hypnotized Rias responds, "I'm being forced to marry someone I don't want to, and the one chance at freedom I had, I wasted because I wasn't strong enough." The mysterious voice sounded out once again, "What if you had one more chance? What would you do if you were free?" Rias didn't hesitate. "I would become strong enough to protect my friends and family and to repay my peerage for supporting me." The mysterious voice chuckled as though satisfied with the answer. "Very well, remember that the light is always darkest before dawn." And with that the mysterious voice stopped talking and time around Rias resumed. Feeling renewed and full of confidence, Rias walked towards the podium with life. Riser, who noticed the change, smiled to himself, thinking that Rias finally accepted the outcome and is obeying. Just as Rias was about to step foot onto the podium, the door to the fall flew open with a bang. In came the members of Rias' peerage while a certain brown-haired boy stormed through the hall, arriving next to Rias. "We have come to recuse Bucko," loudly proclaimed the boy. Not much later that several powerful devils surrounded the peerage members while Serafall just smiled inwardly. "Calm down everyone, this was arranged by me for a little entertainment. Can't have my sister's engagement party be boring now, can I?" rhetorically asked Serafall. "We'll have one final match, a one-on-one between Riser Phoenix and Issei Hyodo with Rias' engagement on the line," declared the red-headed Satan. Rias couldn't help but shoot a grateful smile to her brother as she understood that this was his last attempt to help her out. Naruto on the other hand thought, "So this is the entertainment, huh? Very interesting indeed. The power I'm sensing from that boy certainly isn't enough to win against the Phoenix, but looking at him I can't help but be reminded of my younger self. Stupid, rash and loyal to a fault, though I am sensing right. One of his arms is completely devoured but the boosted gear's energy. Maybe this wasn't as rash as I thought, and he's certainly determined. I can't wait to see how this plays out." While Naruto was thinking, the fight had already started. Just like he had expected, Riser definitely had the upper hand, causing Issei to be on the defensive the whole time. Landing blow after blow, Riser continued to batter Issei in attacks, not even giving him the chance to breathe. With a brutal kick, Riser launched Issei across the hall, causing him to cough up some blood. "Perhaps you didn't learn your lesson last time. This time not even Rias can stop me from killing you, pathetic excuse of a devil," said Riser. Suddenly Issei started laughing. "Oh, I did learn from last time, and I have you exactly where I want you, you fried chicken bastard." With that, a red aura started to envelop Issei and his power started to raise dramatically. "Welsh Dragon Balance Breaker," shouted Issei as he was now clad in red armor holding a cross in his right hand. This kid really sacrificed an arm to temporarily access Balance Breaker, thought Naruto incredulously, though he couldn't help but Issei on for his resolution in these circumstances. Issei knew he only had one shot, so using the element of surprise, he arrived in front of Riser, catching him off guard and sending a punch with every last bit of his strength into his stomach. This caused Riser to fly back into a wall unconscious, thereby making Issei the winner of the match. Naruto couldn't help but chuckle at the turn of events. The underdog really pulled through this time. I was wondering if I got her hopes up for nothing, but luckily he pulled through. After Serafall announced that Issei was the winner, Issei led Rias away from the hall with the rest of her peerage. With this unprecedented turn of events, everyone slowly started to file out of the hall until it was only Naruto and Serafall left. "I'll admit that it was worth coming to see the Red Dragon Emperor in action," stated Naruto. "He's a bit rough around the edges, and his motivations are questionable, but undoubtedly his heart is in the right place," replied Serafall. "Well Naruto, since this was resolved, I have a meeting with Azazel and Michael to attend. I'll give you the details after." With that Serafall teleported out of the hall, leaving Naruto there, who decided to just flash to the cafe. Well, today was certainly interesting, thought Naruto as he opened the door to the living room and surprise appeared on his face. Make that very interesting, thought Naruto as he saw Kuroka sitting on a chair looking at him. Well, this certainly is a surprise, thought Naruto as he looked at Kuroka. I'm guessing this isn't a social visit. Well, you'd be right in guessing that, answered Kuroka. I've been thinking a lot about that story you told me and what would happen to me sister if that comes to play out. I can't let that happen for both our sakes because I can't stand knowing my sister hates me so much. Kuroka paused to compose herself and looked at Naruto straight in the eye, determination and resolution filling her gaze. This is why I came to ask for help and I'm willing to give anything for it. Ha ha ha, laughed Naruto boisterously, and what makes you think I can help you? Well, I may not be the most powerful, but I certainly can hold my own, but you made me feel like an ant with just your aura and I bet that you weren't even trying. Furthermore, you didn't kill me nor send me to the devils, meaning that you are at least not a major figure there, and I don't feel a holy aura from you, so that means you're an unallied power," finished Kuroka confidently. Naruto had to give it to her that she'd been mostly correct with her assumptions, showing that she clearly thought this through. Expelling a bit of his chakra, the world around Kuroka started to change into a barren wasteland of ash and brimstone, and the temperature raised quite exponentially. Kuroka looked around confused and scared till she saw Naruto dissolving into the wind and was replaced by an entity made up of fire and had red ominous eyes. "You were quite determined and said you'll do anything, even if it's selling your soul to a demon?" asked the entity. Kuroka faltered, but she knew if she backed down here, there may not be another chance for her. Gathering her courage, she responded, "I am willing. I don't mind damning myself for eternity for this chance." The entity regarded her for what felt like for eternity until, ha 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 ha. It started to laugh and slowly it vanished to show one Naruto Uzumaki sporting a small smile after the laughter had ceased. "Interesting, very interesting indeed. Your resolution is very admirable. I knew telling you that story was a good idea. I'll help you if only to satisfy myself with the outcome of the situation, though I'll be helping. Don't expect much. After all, this is your problem at the end of the day, and it certainly isn't going to be free." Kuroka nodded as this was better than she had expected. She knew this was a risk and could potentially end up very badly, but the rewards far outweighed the risk in her opinion. "I'm completely fine with that, though what is the payment?" asked Kuroka curiously, as it didn't seem he'd actually take her soul. "Well, as much as I'd love to take your soul, that really wouldn't benefit me whatsoever, though it does certainly become a handful running this cafe by myself, so here's what. From Monday, you'll work in my cafe full-time as payment," explained Naruto. Kuroka for one looked surprised. "Are you sure that's sufficient payment?" "Well, as I said before, I'm not really helping much, and with how things are going right now, something tells me I'd need some help with the cafe," answered Naruto. Kuroka was definitely not complaining. She didn't have to do anything bad and she'd have some assistance with her problems. Naruto on the other hand found something entertaining to watch, so he wasn't bothered by helping her a bit. "Here," said Naruto, tossing a sheet of paper to Kuroka. "Just put that on any part of your body and it will completely suppress any form of demonic aura on you, making you feel completely normal, though to pull it off you may want to hide those extra appendages," Naruto said, referring to her ears and tail. "And since you're working here you can stay as well, but before you do, use today and tomorrow to sort out anything that can trace you back here, since that would defeat the purpose of everything that I'm doing now." Kuroka nodded, thinking that was a wise thing to do, so with a quick thank you she turned to leave. "Before you go," Naruto stopped her, "tell me the name of your sister. I have some contacts and who knows, if you work well I might be able to give you some information on her." Kuroka responded with a hopeful and grateful look in her eyes. "Her name is Sharon. At least it was originally, as she most likely changed it so nothing could be traced to her. She is also a petite girl with white hair and gold eyes." "All right, you may take your leave now," and with that Kuroka left the cafe. "Maybe things didn't work out last time, but maybe I could make sure it does now," thought Naruto as he watched where Kuroka originally stood moments before. Deciding it was enough, Naruto went to sleep. Dark, maybe a little too much, was the first thing Naruto thought as he looked at his surroundings. Everything was pitch black as far as he could see, as though he was in the center of the abyss. Suddenly a chilling presence enveloped him, causing his body to instinctually shiver. "No, I can't be," shouted Naruto into the void. This feeling was all too familiar to Naruto as he started to remember. He remembered them, their pain, their suffering, their sacrifice. He also remembered her, how her eyes looked so full of love, then it was turned blank, you could say white, almost just like their appearance. But most importantly, Naruto could remember him. More accurately, Naruto couldn't forget. His red eyes filled with murder, blood of countless shinobis dyeing his white skin red, and his horrifying smile he wore as headed it. Then Naruto heard it reverb all around him. "Naruto, IMBACKKKKKK." That voice, broken, almost like nails against a chalkboard, sounded out. "Ah!" With a shout, Naruto woke up. He looked around to see everything shredded and in a state of decay. No anything but him, Naruto pleaded to himself, hoping that some greater entity took pity on him, if only for that one time. Looking at himself, Naruto realized that he was unconsciously channeling chakra throughout his body. Calming himself, he could only think, "No, I'm pretty sure that the seal can't be and isn't broken. It's all in my head." With that, Naruto knew he had to do something to get his mind off it. Maybe going for another run or just taking in the city in general might help. With that, Naruto quickly set out to do his morning routine and get out of the cafe. Hopefully something interesting happens, thought Naruto as he closed the cafe's door behind him. The first thing on his agenda was to simply just walk around aimlessly, He thought that maybe he'd find something fun or entertaining by roaming around this bustling city. After about a couple minutes of walking around, he spotted something interesting. Is that a fair? Thought Naruto looking at something. It was a large open space with many tents and a lot of people walking around and chatting with each other. Maybe I don't have such bad luck after all, thought Naruto as he started to walk to the fair. This feels much better, thought Naruto as he walked through the crowds of people gathered in this relatively large area. You see, Naruto could sense the emotions of people, and since he came from land where shinobi ruled, there was an excess of negative emotions, so he never had it on for long. But in this situation, there was an overabundance of positive emotions, and Naruto allowed himself to feel the full effect of it as it also influenced his mood. Taking everything in, he really wasn't paying attention to the people around him, resulting in something colliding with the back of his chest. Turning around quickly to see what happened, blue eyes met purple. Serafall, Naruto? Two voices rang out in confusion simultaneously. Naruto, catching himself, quickly helped Serafall up with a sheepish expression. Sorry, I really wasn't paying attention there. Serafall smiled. Don't worry, instead I'm curious. I didn't expect you out of all people to be here. Naruto sighed in response. Me too, honestly, but I needed a change of pace and found myself here. What a coincidence, as that's more or less the same reason for me. My job has been a bit more tiring than usual and I wanted to take a break. But, since we're both here and for the same reasons, how about we stick together? I think it would be fun, suggested Serafall with a bit of hope underlying her voice. Naruto looked surprised, but honestly he wouldn't mind. He took Serafall as a breath of fresh air and certainly would enjoy spending some time with her. Sure, I would love to, responded Naruto. Serafall smiled brightly at his answer. Well, what do you want to do first? Naruto thought about it for a bit. Maybe walk around a bit more and take in some sights. Moo, that's boring. Naruto's idea was instantly met with refusal from Serafall. Rather than being angry, Naruto just looked amused. Alright, what do you suggest? Adopting a thinking pose, Serafall quickly answered. There are boothing with games, we should try them. Not bad, thought Naruto, nodding his head to say that he was okay with the idea. Getting confirmation, Serafall quickly grabbed Naruto and led him by the hand through the crowds of people in the fair. Weaving in and out of the paths, Serafall and Naruto finally arrived at the games section of the fair. Looking around, something caught Serafall's eye as she quickly dragged Naruto behind her. In no time at all, both of them arrived in front of a bottle stand booth. The idea of it was to throw a ball, and if you knocked the stack of bottles down, you'd win a prize. There was also a tier system for the prizes. The less tries you took, the better your prize was, with the maximum number of tries being 3. Naruto was confused as to why Serafall was so eager to try the bottle stand, but he knew not to question the woman. He doubted even she knew why she did some things. She quickly paid the man, and tried her luck. Within 2 throws she knocked down the bottles, but she looked disappointed. She then tried her luck again but failed, and again, and again. At this point she was stooping down in a corner with a small dark cloud above her. Taking in this scene, Naruto couldn't help but be amused. He then went up to the booth and paid the man. He knew that the game was rigid, where the ball was smaller than normal so that nowhere that you hit would cause the bottle to fall. Therefore Naruto added some wind chakra to the ball to sort of expand the size of the ball. Plink! With a throw of the ball, all the bottles fell down, gaining a surprised look from the man. Turning to Serafall, Oi, stop being so depressed, after all you do have a prize to pick. Hearing that Serafall was by his side in a flash, funnily enough, and was already pointing to a prize for the man to take down. Following her hand, Naruto couldn't help but be surprised at the prize she chose. Why the fox? The prize Serafall chose was a large orange stuffed fox. She held it up in front of him and said, "It reminds me of you. You have the same whiskers and grin." Naruto was at a loss for this woman and chose to not say anything. After that both of them just went to different stalls and tried the food and games, such that night quickly arrived, though who said that night signaled the end of anything. Since they already explored the fair, Naruto and Serafall decided to walk around the city just having fun. At one point it started to rain. Naruto, getting a bit worried, turned to Serafall to ask her if they should go back. Sarah. Naruto's words stayed in his throat as he gazed upon Serafall. There she was, dancing in the rain without a care. She had the elegance of a ballet dancer, but it was all so free and natural as the rain poured down her face. Naruto couldn't bear to look away as he drank in her lithe form, unintentionally seducing him. She was like a snake charmer, controlling Naruto's thoughts and eyes. Suddenly she stopped and turned towards him as if sensing his gaze. Slowly she made her way to him, her hips sashaying as if it was a metronome, and said, "How about we head back to the cafe? as she walked past him and flashed a smile. Shaking out of his stupor, Naruto quickly caught up to Serafall with a small chuckle. After an exhausting but fun day together, Naruto and Serafall entered the cafe with smiles on their faces. Serafall took a seat on a stool by the counter while Naruto went and got 2 towels, throwing one to Serafall, who caught it. Chuckling, Naruto spoke, "This seems awfully familiar to me." Thinking about it, Serafall agreed, "It is for sure, though this time I actually enjoyed myself before arriving here." Smiling, she continued, "Since I enjoyed myself and I see you did too, if that smile is anything to go by, can I expect another?" Naruto rubbed the back of head sheepishly while answering, "I had a lot of fun as well, so if you aren't opposed then sure." Serafall giggled at the display and got up to leave. "Well, since the day is over I must leave. Work really takes a drain out of things." Naruto nodded, as her job really could be considered as one of the hardest jobs in the underworld. As Serafall reached the door, she stooped, "Hey Naruto, can you come here for a sec?" Seeing no harm in it, Naruto made his way over. She then started tugging his sleeve as if to say bend down. She tiptoed to his ears and said, "I'll be looking forward to next time, and please, call me Sarah." She then quickly gave him a kiss on the cheek and left in a hurry, not waiting to see his reaction. Naruto meanwhile stood there stupefied, bringing a hand to the cheek which she kissed, and rubbed it. This woman, thought Naruto. For the first time in a long while he was truly looking forward to something with a huge smile on his face. A young girl with long black hair down to her hips and black eyes, wearing a gothic dress, stood outside a large pyramid. Emotionlessly, she observed the pyramid and walked into a small door at the base of it. Inside of the room was very spacious and filled with very strange markings all across the walls, floor and roof. Coming to a stop in front of an altar, she placed something into a space in the middle of the altar, though it was only a piece, a quarter you could say. Suddenly the whole pyramid started to rumble and a bright light flashed onto the object left in the altar. In a dark room elsewhere, a body of what looked like a human male was lying on a table while thousands of symbols wrapped his body. Suddenly, a bright light hit the man, and some symbols disappeared. One of the man's eyes opened to reveal a red eye, and a deranged smile formed on his face. "Thanks for watch."